Yeah, good morning, everyone. My colleague Christoph Behm and I would like to welcome you to our last coffee break session for this year. We conclude our 2024 series with two regulatory topics that involve different regulated products, medicinal products, and medical devices. These topics are combination products and companion diagnostics. We go into the details a little bit further. So one additional remark in the beginning, you have the possibility to ask questions. If you go down at the bottom, at the right, you see a button named questions, and you're welcome to type in your questions. We will try to answer them as far as possible. Otherwise, if not on the spot, we will come back to you later. So then let's go in medias res. In the beginning, I would like to start with an overview over the different products that we will encounter today. First of all, as you know, they are medical products, but they are also medical devices. Although the names are very similar, these are different categories of products. They have something in common, and that's that they both are designated to for diagnosis or treatment of diseases or monitoring of diseases. So that's the common part, but there's also a different part, and this is the mode of action. So medicinal products are characterized by the fact that the action is achieved by either pharmacological or immunological or metabolic means. Medical devices are defined by a mode of action that is different from medicinal products. So just excluding those pharmacological, etc. Actions. In most cases, the action is, or the effect is achieved by physical means. So most simple example would be a patch that just covers a wound or part of the body. In vitro diagnostic medical devices, as the name already states, is a subgroup of medical devices. These are, for example, reagents or other assays, like including software, which are used outside the human body, in vitro, not in vivo. And the purpose is to provide certain information on certain circumstances in the body, certain biomarkers, certain properties that are important for the therapy or So then I would like to give you a short overview over the regulatory landscape of medical devices. First of all, in 1994, we started with a German act, Medizinproduktegesetz, that was based on three different European directives: the Medical Devices Directive, the Active Implantable Medical Devices Directive, and the In Vitro Devices Directive. This was a scenario where we had quite, I would not say a simple law, but it was much shorter, at least. It was 44 sections of German law, including some of the annexes and provisions of the directive that you had to look into directly. And this regulatory landscape was replaced in 2017 by the Medical Devices Regulation and the IVDR on in vitro, the regulation on in vitro diagnostics. The MDR comprises the two categories, the regular medical devices and the implantable, the active implantable devices. And as you know, there are certain aspects that cannot be regulated on an EU level, and for these provisions, a German law was enacted, the MPDG, Medizinprodukte-Durchführungsgesetz, which not implements, but fills certain holes and that were left by the EU regulations, for example, provisions on competent authorities or clinical trials that are not regulated by the regulations. So just by contrast for the medicinal products, just a recap, as probably everyone knows, medicinal products are authorized by a state authority. In Germany, it would be the Behm, the Federal Institute on Medicinal Products and Medical Devices. In Europe, it would be the European Commission based on an opinion of the EMA, the European Medicines Agency. And for medical devices, we have a different regulatory scenario. Under the old law and also under the new law, this was an aspect that had not been changed. We have a sort of a private certification. We have private institutes, bodies, the so-called notified bodies that issue certificates after having checked thoroughly the medical device in question, depending a little bit also on the risk class. We'll look at this a little bit later. And then for most of the medical devices, a certificate is issued, and the manufacturer has then the possibility to put the CE mark on the device. So two different pathways. And then we start with the first peculiarity, combination products. Christoph.
Well, hello everybody, and thank you, Manja, for the quick introduction to this interesting topic regarding the regulatory basics. Following on from this, I will now give you an insight on the regulatory peculiarities regarding combination products. A very quick agenda. I will start with the background, and then we'll come to some examples, and after that I will guide you through the applicable approval procedure for these possibilities. And finally, I will round off the topic with a brief outlook on the upcoming regulatory developments. So, coming to the background, the biggest question interesting up front is what are combination products anyway? And from a pure legal point of view, the answer to this question is not as easy as it might seem. This is because there's no legal definition of the term combination product. This applies to German law as well as to the EU law. Beyond that, neither German law nor EU law use the term combination product. However, the MDR contains certain provisions regarding the legal differentiation for products which combine a medicinal product or substance and a medical device. In this context, Article 1, paragraphs 8 and 9 of the MDR provide regulation regarding the qualification and the applicable approval regime for combination products. But these provisions do not mention constellations such as co-packaging or referencing of a medicinal product or substance and the medical device, which are quite common in the pharmaceutical sector. For these combinations, certain guidelines of the EMA, the European Medicines Agency, come into play. For example, the EMA guideline stipulates that for co-packaged products, the product information should follow certain requirements. And also, as another example, moreover, the use of the medicinal product with the device should be demonstrated to be safe and effective. Therefore, compatibility between device and drug product must be demonstrated. As you may know, in this case, the famous interaction studies should be performed. So we now proceed with a closer look on the various possibilities of combination products within the scope of the MDR, or in other words, what kind of combination products fall under the provisions mentioned. For the qualification, Article 1, paragraphs 8 and 9 of the MDR state the following criteria, which you can see below. First, the form of the combination. Here the question is whether an integral product is present at all. As I just mentioned earlier, Co-packaged products fall outside the scope of this special regulations. Co-packaged products need to be distinguished from integral drug-device combinations that form a single integral product. EMA guidelines apply in this case. And second, the intended use of the combination remains relevant. Is the medicinal product a product that is used to administer the drug, or does the device, on the other hand, only contain the drug for, let's say, other purposes? And the last question, which component supports the effect of the other? Here words like principal action and ancillary action play a pivotal role. So based on this criteria, the following combination products can be understood as combination product in the sense of the MDR. The first group on the left are medical devices incorporating as an integral part a medicinal product. As you can see, examples include implantable devices which are coated with a drug substance. For example, catheters with antibiotics that prevent infections, or stents with a heparin coating that adheres an anticoagulant effect. Other examples include plasters with silver coating, or contraceptive devices, copper. The second very important group, here shown in the middle, are medical devices intended to administer a medicinal product as an integral product. Examples include pre-filled syringes or single-use nebulizers containing medicinal product. Also, contraceptive devices releasing gestagen fall under this group. However, and as mentioned earlier, co-packaged products, here demonstrated on the right-hand side, like cough syrup with a reusable spoon, or products which contain references in the SMPC to other products, are not considered to be combination products. This is a very important differentiation. As also already mentioned, these products, there are EMA guidelines, and these products, for these products, the regular provisions of the MDR apply. So these products must bear a CE labeling. For the medical device and the medicinal product part is subject to a authorization procedure. Yeah, as the differentiation procedure is highly nuanced and complex, a MDCG guidance offers helpful guidance in this aspect. The MDCG is the Medical Device Coordination Group founded by the EU Commission. And MDCG 2022/5 provides a flowchart, which you can see here, which leads to the applicable regulatory regimes for each product. Though explaining the rather technical flowchart in detail would prove difficult in this format, as you may understand by looking at this flowchart. But I will provide a quick overview in the next slides. Moreover, there's a very helpful Q&A document by the EMA with respect to the practical considerations concerning the implementation of the MDR in the context of combinations of medicinal products with medical devices. And I would highly recommend that anyone who's interested to take a closer look at the EMA guidelines, as they contain a very, very unique but cursory practical answer to many questions. Let's come to the approval procedure. It's one of the most important questions. How are combination products authorized? For medical devices incorporating as an integral part a medicinal product, which I mentioned earlier as the first group in the examples, a CE marking is required. Up to this point, there are no differences compared to a normal medical device. A marketing authorization for the combined medicinal product is not required. This applies, for example, to the plasters with silver coating mentioned earlier. In this case, the action of the substance is ancillary to the action of the device. However, exceptions apply if the action of the substance is principal and not ancillary to that of the medical device. In this case, a marketing authorization for the medicinal product is legally required. Moreover, in this case, the GSPR, means the General Safety and Performance Requirements from Annex 1 of the MDR apply to the device part, and the authorization dossier for the combination product shall include the result of the medical device conformity assessment. Dependent on the risk class of the medical device, the conformity assessment has to be carried out by a notified body. That's the private body which Manja mentioned earlier. And let's now come to the market access of medical devices intended to administer a medicinal product as an integral product. The procedure here is exactly the other way around. So medical devices intended to administer a medicinal product as an integral product do not require a CE marking, as long as the requirements in Article 1, Paragraph 9 of the MDR are fulfilled. It sets out 3 cumulative conditions that need to be satisfied at the moment of placing on the market. First, the device and the medicinal product must form a single integral product when placed on the market. That's the differentiation between two co-packaged devices. Second, the single integral product is intended exclusively for the use in the given combination. And third, the single integral product is not reusable. Remember the pre-filled syringes for single use I mentioned earlier in the examples. In this case, a marketing authorization for the integral product is required. Moreover, in addition, the GPSR and Annex 1 of the MDR apply, and a notified body opinion must be obtained. The EMA recommends that the declaration of conformity or the notified body opinion in case at the time of the submission of the dossier of the initial marketing authorization application for the medicinal product to facilitate smooth running of the procedure. So let's now come to a regulatory outlook. As you can see from my brief insight, the MDR provides a number of different provisions depending on the type of the combination product. As if that were not enough, many guidelines also play a pivotal role in this context. However, from the legislator's point of view, the basic categorization of the combination products has obviously proven itself. On 26th of April last year, the Commission adopted a proposal for a new directive and regulation of pharmaceutical legislation. Definition for combination products is still missing. The main regime for an integral combination of a medicinal product with a medical device remains unchanged though. However, the proposal mentions medicinal products in exclusive use with a medical device and stipulates that these products require marketing authorization plus complete MDR certification for the device part. That's the group of co-packaging. So with the proposal, we might have some clarification, legal clarification for the product group of co-packaging devices. As I have now reached the end of my presentation, I would like to hand over to my dear colleague Manja, who will provide you with some valuable insights into companion diagnostics. So you're next.
Yeah, thank you very much, Christoph, for this insight into the world of combination products and co-packaged devices. I follow up in the last 10 minutes with the second interesting product group, which are the companion diagnostics. So first of all, you will be asking yourself, what is a companion diagnostic? And I can tell you that until the IVDR was enacted in 2017, and by the way, became applicable only in 2022, and not in every respect. So I think if you are you have IVDs in your portfolio, you will know that there are still transitional procedures running. So it's not as simple as I may have presented it in the beginning. But this is definitely something that is new. We have new provisions on a product group that is called companion diagnostics, which is by definition an IVD, an in vitro diagnostic, which is intended to identify certain biomarkers within the human body. It might be genetic, molecular, cellular properties. And the purpose of this product group is, of course, a medical purpose. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an IVD. And you can see here two different purposes, which are defined in the IVDR in Article 2, number 7. And you can also refer, in addition to recital 11 of the IVDR, it says that the intention is to identify before or during a treatment patients who are most likely to benefit from a corresponding medicinal product. So in other words, patients that are eligible for a certain type of treatment because they have the properties that are needed in order to ensure a safe and effective treatment with this medicinal product. Or to identify, that's the point B, before or during the treatment, patients that are likely to be exposed at an increased risk by this medicinal products. So that would, of course, exclude eligibility for this product. As you may imagine, these companion diagnostics are very important for a sort of therapy called personalized medicine, where drugs are not applied to a very broad range of patients, but only to specific patients that have certain biomarkers or respond in a certain way. And in order to find out whether these conditions are given, the companion diagnostics are used. We also have like a negative description in recital 12 of the IVDR. So in vitro diagnostics that are only used with a view to monitoring treatment and to see whether there's a sufficient concentration or the appropriate level of concentration of the drug substance in the human body within the therapeutic windows. These are not considered companion diagnostics. Which leads me to a remark on the German version of the IVDR. So in my opinion, the German notion of therapiebegleitende Diagnostika is sort of misleading because the main purpose is to determine eligibility for a certain therapy and not the monitoring during the therapy. So we now have seen there must be a close link between this diagnostic, the companion diagnostic or CDX, and the medicinal product. And we now look at how this is reflected in the regulatory provisions. Well, first of all, I have brought some examples to illustrate it a little bit further. So IVD tests, for example, used before the treatment with antibodies and they are used to assess whether the necessary receptors exists. One example that is well known is trastuzumab in the context of breast cancer. Or the second example, you may look at the picture at the right-hand side, where the IVD is used to assess whether a certain mutation of a gene mutation is can be found in the human body, and only the patients that have this gene mutation, which is here called the BRAF V600E in this example, only those patients with a certain mutant can profit from the therapy, because there the medicinal product, which was Behm, was able to interrupt a certain signal reaction and thus the growth of the tumor. So now we enter the regulatory part. In the IVDR, we have 4 risk classes from A to D. A is the one with the lowest risk, D the one with the highest risk. Only class A, can be brought to the market without involvement of a notified body. The higher class products need a conformity assessment by a notified body, and under the IVDR, which is much stricter than the former regulatory regime, the assumption is that about 85 or 84% of IVDs need this notified body involvement, and only the rest of them, the minority, can be brought to the market without notified body. Companion diagnostics, by definition, are included in class C, so rather high risk class, and we will see that they are even more specific in this regulatory procedure in a minute. So I already said there's a close link to the medicinal product that for which eligibility of the patients is tested. In other regulatory regimes, such as in the US, we have a combined regulatory pathway for companion diagnostics and the medicinal product they're used for. That is different in the EU. So even now, where we have this definition of CDX in the IVDR, we don't have a joint approval procedure with medicinal products. So it remains the case that the medical device, in this case, the companion diagnostic, is certified by a notified body. The corresponding medicinal product is approved by a state regulatory authority. We have different regimes for clinical trials. As you may know, for medicinal products, we have the new clinical trial regulation. For companion diagnostics, the clinical trials are regulated in the IVDR. And also the link in the labeling is quite, I would say, quite weak. There's no linking with the companion diagnostics in the summary of product characteristics of the medicinal product, and only the IFU of the medical device of the companion diagnostic contains the INN of the medicinal product. So, in a nutshell, we have separate development, preclinical development. We have, in principle, separate clinical trials. We will see that there may be links, and only at the stage of the regulatory procedure with the notified body, respectively with the EMA or the member states regulatory authority, we have a link that has been now established by the IVDR. We come to that now. And here I've already said leads to different approvals. So how is this link at the regulatory stage that we just saw? I might go back, this link. How is this established? You can find the legal basis in Article 48 of the IVDR. This is a so-called consultation procedure that is mandatory. The notified body has to involve the regulatory authority, and depending on which type of regulated product, that decides on which authority is involved. So if you have a medicinal product that is subject to the central procedure, it would be the EMA, otherwise maybe also the national authorities, and these authorities give an opinion within 60 days after having all the documents. There may be a clock stop extended by maybe further 60 days, and then the scientific opinion needs to be duly considered by the regulatory authority. I will not go into the details of the last column due to the time constraints. Just give you a short overview of what applies to clinical trials. This is of course very important because diagnostic and medicinal product need to work together. However, there's no joint regulatory regime for the clinical trials, and if the medicinal product is tested, it needs to be made sure that the IVD can be used, this companion diagnostic can be legally used in a compliant way in this clinical trial of the medicinal products. And there are only 3 possibilities. So either the IVD is already CE marked. That's that's not very often the case with companion diagnostics because they need to be somehow tested in parallel. Or you have an in-house IVD, which means an IVD that has been developed by the clinic that conducts the clinical trial. It never left the clinic. Then under certain circumstances, it might be qualified as an in-house or lab-developed IVD. You may look into the definition here, and the requirements in Article 5 of the IVD are, or the third possibility is that the 2 clinical trials are conducted, let's say, by the same clinic in the same setting, but still under 2 different regulatory regimes. So you have a clinical trial, a performance study with the CDX at the same time as the clinical trial with the medicinal product. So I have to skip this, but you can, you will get the slides afterwards, and you can, of course, then look into this. So that's just in a nutshell, again, a flowchart given by the Medical Devices Coordination Group for the use of IVD, or let's say assays more generally, in clinical trials. In some cases, you don't have to worry about the regulatory compliance because your assay is not even does not even qualify as an IVDR. And here, the Q&A of the MDCG gives you some guidance. So the stratification of patients and the statistical analysis, the data analysis, in order to see whether endpoints have been reached, would not be considered as having a medical purpose, so would not be considered as an IVD. But patient selection, this is what typically is a companion diagnostic does, the allocation of patients to different groups. So and also the monitoring during the treatment in the clinical trial, the assays used for these purposes would qualify as IVD. So this is the end of the presentation. You see that there are many questions surrounding those product groups, and I would like to welcome you to ask these questions to up. Otherwise, I would like to thank you for taking part in this coffee break session. Next year, we will start again on the 15th of January with the first coffee break session, and we would be pleased if you would register already on the platform. So then, happy holidays to all of you, and a good start into the new year. Thank you.